The Tale of Pigling Bland by Beatrix Potter. Part 2. After finishing breakfast at his leisure, Pigling had a look around the cottage. Everything was locked up. He found some potato peelings in a bucket in the back kitchen. Pigling ate the peel and washed up the porridge plates in the bucket. He sang while he worked. Tom with his pipe made such a noise. He called up all the girls and boys, and they all ran to hear him play, over the hills and far away. Suddenly a little smothered voice chimed in. Over the hills and a great way off, the wind shall blow my top knot off. Pigling Bland put down a plate which he was wiping and listened. After a long pause, Pigling went on tiptoe and peeped round the door into the front kitchen. There was nobody there. After another pause, Pigling approached the door of the locked cupboard and snuffed at the keyhole. It was quite quiet. After another long pause, Pigling pushed a peppermint under the door. It was sucked in immediately. In the course of the day, Pigling pushed in all the remaining 6 peppermints. When Mr. Piperson returned, he found Pigling sitting before the fire. He had brushed up the hearth and put on the pot to boil. The meal was not get at able. Mr. Piperson was very affable. He slapped Pigling on the back, made lots of porridge, and forgot to lock the meal chest. He did lock the cupboard door, but without properly shutting it. He went to bed early and told Pigling upon no account to disturb him next day before 12 o'clock. Pigling Bland sat by the fire eating his supper. All at once, at his elbow, a little voice spoke. "My name is Pigwig. Make me more porridge, please." Pigling Bland jumped and looked around. A perfectly lovely little black Berkshire pig stood smiling beside him. She had twinkling little screwed-up eyes, a double chin, and a short turned-up nose. She pointed at Pigling's plate. He hastily gave it to her and fled to the meal chest. "How did you come in here?" asked Pigling Bland. "Stolen," replied Pigwig with her mouth full. Pigling helped himself to meal without scruple. "What for?" "Bacon, hams," replied Pigwig cheerfully. "Why on earth don't you run away?" exclaimed the horrified Pigling. "I shall after supper," said Pigwig decidedly. Pigling Bland made more porridge and watched her shyly. She finished a second plate, got up, and looked about her as though she was going to start. "You can't go in the dark," said Pigling Bland. Pigwig looked anxious. "Do you know your way by daylight?" "I know we can see this little white house from the hills across the river. Which way are you going, Mr. Pig?" "To market. I have 2 pig papers. I might take you to the bridge if you have no objection," said Pigling, much confused and sitting on the edge of his copy stool. Pigwig's gratitude was such, and she asked so many questions, that it became embarrassing to Pigling Bland. He was obliged to shut his eyes and pretend to sleep. She became quiet, and there was a smell of peppermint. "I thought you had eaten them," said Pigling, waking suddenly. "Only the corners," replied Pigwig, studying the sentiments with much interest by the firelight. "I wish you wouldn't. He might smell them through the ceiling," said the alarmed Pigling. Pigwig put back the sticky peppermints into her pocket. "Sing something," she demanded. "I'm sorry, I have a toothache," said Pigwig, much dismayed. "Then I will sing," replied Pigwig. "You will not mind if I say itty-tid-ditty? I have forgotten some of the words." Pigling Bland made no objection. He sat with his eyes half shut and watched her. She wagged her head and rocked about, clapping time and singing in a sweet little grunty voice. "A funny old mother pig lived in a sty, and 3 little piggies had she. Tee-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee, umph-a-da-dumph-umph-umph, and the little pig said, wee, wee." She sang successfully through 3 or 4 verses, only at every verse her head nodded a little lower, and her little twinkly eyes closed up. "Those 3 little piggies grew peaky and lean they might very well be. For somehow they couldn't say umph-a-dee-umph, and they wouldn't say wee, wee, wee. For somehow they couldn't say, for Pigwig's head bobbed lower and lower until she rolled over a little round ball, fast asleep on the hearth rug. Pigling Bland, on tiptoe, covered her up with an antimacassar. He was afraid to go to sleep himself. For the rest of the night he sat listening to the chirping of the crickets and to the snores of Mr. Pipersons overhead. Early in the morning, between dark and daylight, Pigling tied up his little bundle and woke up Pigwig. She was excited and half frightened. "But it's dark! How can we find our way?" "The cock has crowed. We must start before the hens come out. They might shout to Mr. Piperson." Pigwig sat down again and commenced to cry. "Come away, Pigwig. We can see when we get used to it. Come, I can hear them clucking." Pigling had never said shush to a hen in his life. Being peaceable, also he remembered the hamper. He opened the house door quietly and shut it after them. There was no garden. The neighborhood of Mr. Piperson was all scratched up by fowls. They slipped away hand in hand across an untidy field to the road. The sun rose while they were crossing the moor, a dazzle of light over the tops of the hills. The sunshine crept down the slopes into the peaceful green valleys where little white cottages nestled in gardens and orchards. "That's Westmoreland," said Pigwig. She dropped Pigling's hand and commenced to dance, singing, "Tom, Tom, the piper's son, stole a pig, away he ran, but all the tune that he could play was over the hills and far away." "Come, Pigwig, we must get to the bridge before folks are stirring." "Why do you want to go to market, Pigling?" inquired Pigwig presently. I want to grow potatoes." "Have a peppermint," said Pigwig. Pigling Bland refused quite crossly. "Does your poor toothy hurt?" inquired Pigwig. Pigling Bland grunted. Pigwig ate the peppermint herself and followed the opposite side of the road. "Pigwig, keep under the wall. There's a man plowing." Pigwig crossed over. They hurried downhill towards the county boundary. Suddenly, Pigling stopped. He heard wheels. Slowly jogging up the road before them came a tradesman's cart. The reins flapped on the horse's back, and the grocer was reading a newspaper. "Take that peppermint out of your mouth, Pigwig. We may have to run. Don't say one word. Leave it to me, and in sight of the bridge," said poor Pigling, nearly crying. He began to walk frightfully lame, holding Pigwig's arm. The grocer, intent upon his newspaper, might have passed them if his horse had not shied and snorted. He pulled the cart crossways and held down his whip. "Hallo! Where are you going to?" Pigling Bland stared at him vacantly. "Are you deaf? Are you going to market?" Pigling nodded slowly. "I thought as much. It was yesterday. Show me your license." Pigling stared at the hind shoe of the grocer's horse, which had picked up a stone. The grocer flicked his whip. "Papers. Pig license." Pigling fumbled in all his pockets and handed up the papers. The grocer read them, but still seemed dissatisfied. "This here pig is a young lady. Is her name Alexander?" Pigwig opened her mouth and shut it again. Pigling coughed asthmatically. The grocer ran his finger down the advertisement column of his newspaper. "Lost, stolen, or strayed. 100 reward?" He looked suspiciously at Pigwig. Then he stood up in the trap and whistled for the plowman. "You wait here while I drive on and speak to him," said the grocer, gathering up the reins. He knew that pigs are slippery, but surely such a very lame pig could never run. "Not yet, Pigwig. He will look back." The grocer did so. He saw the two pigs stock still in the middle of the road. Then he looked over at his horse's heels. It was lame also. The stone took some time to knock out after he got to the plowman. "Now, Pigwig, now," said Pigling Bland. Never did any pigs run as these pigs ran. They raced and squealed and pelted down the long white hill towards the bridge. Little fat Pigwig's petticoats fluttered, and her feet went pitter-patter-pitter as she bounded and jumped. They ran and they ran, and they ran down the hill and across a short cut on level green turf at the bottom between pebble beds and rushes. They came to the river, they came to the bridge, they crossed in hand in hand. Then over the hills and far away she danced with Pigling bland. The end.